what a relationship is supposed to be and what it's supposed to look like. So let's get into it. Why do we doubt our relationships? So a lot of it has to do with insecurity. Am I okay? We have a part of ourself that is desperately seeking security, reassurance, inherently on our own, by ourselves, with our thoughts and feelings. You don't feel so secure. You're just not sure. Am I good? Am I worthy? Am I deserving? Am I loved? Am I successful? Am I capable? All of those things are unsure. It definitely comes back to childhood. You don't have to know where in childhood it came from to be more clear about it. All you know is for sure it's not feeling good, so you can trust that. But it's a search for security, for reassurance. But it also means that you have like a set of glasses through which you look at everything and interpret it. But it's set and programmed to prove that I'm not okay, I'm not safe, I'm not secure. It's set to seek out any little piece of evidence that might be concerning. It's coming from a good place, trying to help you feel better, safe, or secure. It just doesn't work. But the desire and drive within a person, within yourself, to feel reassured, to feel safe, to feel okay, to feel trusting, reliable, that things are okay, that's a legitimate need. In the absence of awareness of where it comes from, and in the absence of better tools and skills of how to produce that sense of reassurance, so now there's lots of doubt. It's like, let me constantly doubt and constantly worry, and then maybe I'll feel safe, secure. Maybe I'll be able to anticipate every issue that comes up before it comes up. But you're here because you know it's not true, it's not working. But I will tell you, separately, that just the very fact that you've tried it another way and you see that it's not working, that you notice that, I think is really healthy and really positive. It means that you're sensitive, you're aware, you're noticing, you're observing. You've spent time doing something that doesn't work and you're aware of that pattern. It also means there's a party that goes, it could be better, it needs to be better. Otherwise you wouldn't be here. So let's jump into a little bit. Let's talk about triggers. Let's talk about some of the emotional triggers that are going on, okay? And I want to name some of the situations that you're likely going through, and they're all triggering situations. Because like I said, there's a part of you inherently deep down inside that's unsure. Am I good? Am I worthy? Am I deserving? Am I okay? Am I worthy of people connecting to me in a trustworthy way and being very reassuring and forming a good connection to myself? You doubt it. And so what you're having are lots of moments where something is said, something is done, something is not said or not done, and it's bringing out in you a whole bunch of those same familiar old feelings of unworthiness, not deserving, scared, fearful, anxious, rejected, unloved, that kind of a thing. Let's take a look at a couple of situations because I want you to really connect. I want you to understand that you're in the right place. That very doubt, that sense of insecurity, the unsureness, the constant worry about what's going on in your relationship. I want you to know you're in the right place. So here's one. I will do a few just to make sure that you see it, that you're in the right place. And there is hope. But texting and waiting for a response. You message somebody something important, you share something important, and then you're waiting and you don't get a response right away. Or let's say you have an argument, and then you text them, and then you're waiting and waiting and waiting by the phone. Or it's a new relationship. Constantly looking at the phone, checking the phone, waiting for messages. You're desperately seeking some sense of reassurance. You're doubting yourself, you're doubting the relationship, you're doubting everything possible under the sun until you get a message back. And you start convincing yourself, like, that's it, it's over, it's terrible, I'm horrible, it's the worst person. Then you get a message back that's really reassuring. You go, I feel great. And then the cycle starts all over again. Another thing you may notice yourself doing, that's an example of the doubt in your relationships, is comparing yourself to other people, right? We look on social media, everyone looks super happy. You walk down the street and you see two people. I promise you, I've spent thousands and thousands of hours with thousands and thousands of clients to realize everyone has stuff. Everyone is struggling, and nothing is what it seems on the surface. But you're constantly comparing and contrasting. Why? Because between you and yourself, inherently, you don't feel safe and secure. You don't feel reassured. You're not so confident. Well, then let me look to others, which always loses. At the end of the video, we can talk about a better way to compare. But you're always comparing yourself to other people. Am I like that? No, my relationship's not as good. I'm bad. Relationship's bad. Life is over. It's all over. It's terrible. It's horrible. All right. How about small things like your partner doesn't plan for a special event or anniversary or birthday or something that, see, I don't count, I don't matter, I'm unimportant, this relationship is bad, it's no good. If you really cared about me, if I was really safe and secure, then you would have done this, that, or the other. Again, the constant doubts leads you to look into things that are not there, reading things into it. It's like you have a certain doubting set of glasses. So you assume and consume and review everything that occurs to you in the light of I have to prove that I need to doubt, that I'm not safe, because otherwise I'll get hurt, I'll get rejected, I'll not be okay, I'll be revealed as being unworthy or undeserving. So little conflicts become a blow up. You couldn't agree on the same place to go for dinner. Now you're upset at me, you're mad at me, you don't like me, you're making a face, we're not okay, everything's bad, it's all over. Or if we can't agree on these small little things, forget it, this relationship's doomed, we can't agree on bigger things. Also, always wondering about their past relationships of your partner, asking lots of questions about it. For another video, we'll talk about it. We shouldn't be talking in a relationship about the people that we dated or other people dated, but what you should be talking is about things that you experienced in those past relationships that you like and want more of, that you don't like and you need to avoid. We'll talk about that more. Other thing is just worrying about your friend, the person's friends, their life. What are they up to? What are they doing? Always wondering. Again, it's always this insecurity. It's always this doubt. The thing is that it's always cause for concern. That's how you know there's just general doubt, as if it's the only way to try to help you protect yourself, save yourself. It's coming from a good place inside of you. We're going to touch on that inner kid part that's desperately been trying to keep you safe and protected ever since you were a kid and never felt safe. This doubting, insecurity, anxious, uncertain, always on edge feels very familiar to you if you think about it. And we do need to name some of those feelings so that you can really get to know it better, but it feels familiar. So in a desperate attempt to feel a bit more safe, secure, reassured, you're recreating something familiar. So it sucks, it's painful, it's uncomfortable, it doesn't really work, it doesn't provide reassurance, but it's familiar. And so we need to do a better job of providing something else. Again, it's a legitimate need for safety, security, reassurance, validation, to be affirmed. The method being used, and let me doubt everything, as if that's the only way to keep me safe, doesn't work, and it drives you nuts. So let's start talking about it. So these are emotional triggers. In each of these moments, feelings come up that are very familiar, and that's why you start to run into the doubt. Your doubting, your worrying, your assuming is a response to a bunch of emotions that came up that are very familiar. So there's that insecurity. I'm not sure. Am I okay? Am I loved? Am I worthy? Am I deserving? Very familiar feelings. Fears. And we're going to dig into what those feelings are, but you're not even aware of them, because as soon as they creep up, it's scary, it's frightening. You've spent a lifetime running away from those feelings. You couldn't even name it. And I bet if I gave you a feelings chart with a list of feelings, you would struggle to name some of those feelings because you've been running so out of touch. That's the only tool. Let me run, let me avoid, let me survive at all costs. And this has been going on since you were a kid. But every time you experience any of the doubtful moments that I explained before, when any of the worries or fears or concerns come up, reading into things, that doubt is a response. It's a response, an attempt to deal with some of the emotions that came up. Your healing is to stop running, to stop avoiding, to stop responding with the doubting, the worrying, the assuming the worst, to take a moment when you're calm and reflect more on what are those actual emotions. We're going to get into that in a bit, but just to realize every time you have doubt, it's not you have an option. Already now, just from hearing me say this, yes, you're going to be worried and nervous for a while because you've been practicing it your whole life. And there's a lot on the lines you want the relationship to work out. But I want you to see it as an opportunity, like a check engine light, that anytime doubt comes up in any of these kind of moments, there was a bunch of emotions that started to creep up and come up. There's a part of the body somewhere where you started to feel and sense it. And your sensors went off and you went into fight or flight mode. And it's like, quickly run, and the response is doubt, 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 doubt. Look external, look external. But we can work backwards in a quiet, peaceful moment. Just now, you can even put this on pause for a second and just think, when was the most recent time you experienced doubt in your relationship? And go back into that moment and say, just before I launched into an attack or questioning or doubting, what was I feeling? Where in the body was I feeling it? There's a bunch of emotion that's there. That's your inner kid. He or she is desperate to talk to you and share with you certain things like, am I loved? Am I good? Am I worthy? Am I deserving? And you do have evidence of that, but we've got to learn how to work through that. We've got to connect more with that part. So doubts in the relationship are really a check engine light that a part of you wants to talk, a part of you needs some attention. Part of you is looking for something legitimate. Am I safe, secure, loved, worthy, deserving, valid? I don't know. Well, now I look at this, oh, you just did this, you didn't message me back fast. See, I'm no good, I'm no worthy, I'm no deserving, right? But that in the core there is just a general sense of doubt or uncertainty or insecurity that's been with you a very, very long time. And this is why we need to use with feeling charts or lists of feelings. Search Google Images, search for feelings chart. Just you need a list of words because you don't have the vocabulary to name those feelings. But if we're going to flip the script, if we're going to take moments of doubt and say, okay, I need something legitimate, worrying about you, assuming bad things about you, assuming the worst is going on, that's not working. So let me flip it, and after I blow up, and after I do all my doubting things, after you do what you've always done again and again, this time what's different is you're going to reflect back on those moments and say, what was I feeling over there? It's going to take time because most of us don't have the vocabulary to explain what we feel, so we can't get to know what we feel. We can't even listen and hear ourselves, let alone hear another person. Yet, by the way, if you feel like you're struggling in your relationship to feel heard and understood, it starts with you hearing and understanding yourself. And this is the way, by naming the feelings. Like as if a good friend comes to me and I sit with them, I talk to them, and I say, it sounds really frustrating and difficult and challenging. I'm naming the feelings I'm hearing. I feel heard and understood. So each of these moments, this is a trigger. A trigger is any time there's a strong emotional reaction that doesn't seem to fit the situation. And it could be very hard in the moment, almost impossible in the moment to see it. So a lot of this is going to be you reflecting back on these kinds of moments and say, what was I feeling in that moment? What was I feeling, right? Because typically, if we were working in a session and you would tell me what, my partner did this, he did this, she said this, you would leave out the most important part because I would ask you, but what were you feeling when that happened? What were you feeling when nothing was planned for your birthday? What were you feeling when you were struggling to agree on something very simple, right? Each and every one of those moments is loaded with feelings. Each and every one of those moments is like a good friend coming and say, can we talk? And your whole life you've been saying, no, and running away because it was overwhelming, it was frightening, it was scary. It puts you back face to face with a bunch of very uncomfortable feelings that you experienced as a kid. You had no help and support, and you were trying to figure out, how do I deal with this? I'm experiencing something uncomfortable as a kid. I'm getting certain words or interactions from my parents that are uncomfortable. I'm not getting some of my needs met. We then, as a kid, on our own, have to figure out how to handle that. How can I be going through what I'm going through and yet still tell myself I'm safe, secure, okay, I can trust them, I feel loved, I feel worthy, deserving. So it's a survival mechanism. And that goes on until, let's say, 12, 13 years of age, and then an adult part kicks in and we start to mature, and here you are now, but still practicing all those old techniques of like, this is happening to me by, I'm being treated this way as a kid or in school because I'm bad or I'm no good or I'm unworthy or I'm undeserving. You see, we all come into the world looking naturally to the environment around us. That's what's amazing, but also heavy and responsible about being a parent, is that the child is coming to the world and watching how the parent interacts. You watched how your parents interacted with you, how they talked to you and didn't talk to you, how they acted, interacted, how they interacted with each other. And you're watching all of this, getting a sense of, am I good, worthy, deserving, loving, cared for, safe, secure? Am I okay? Is the world safe? Is my home safe? Am I alive and okay? Am I safe from threats and dangers? And sometimes and very often, we don't get certain needs met and we're not sure. So that same reassurance and security we were looking for externally as a kid and didn't get, you started to tell yourself something like, I guess it's because I'm unworthy or undeserving or no good, which enables you to stay in that situation and feel okay and feel like you're loved and make it through. But there's a hole, there's a wound. And here you are as an adult continuing to seek externally, am I good, am I worthy and deserving? But you don't even know what it feels like to feel reassured, heard, understood, accepted, and validated. You don't even know what it feels like. All you know is the comfort, old feeling of not good enough, not worthy, not deserving. And that's what you read into every situation that goes on and assume the worst. So this is that inner kid part. And that it's continuing to be a major part of your life. The difference is, you here today talking with me, you're an adult part and a kid part. Sometimes you have very confident feelings. Sometimes you feel really good about yourself. Sometimes you have no worries. Sometimes you're really plugged in and feeling good. That's your adult part. Confident, clear, forward-thinking, trusting, able to think more logically, not blown away and dominated by emotions. But then there's an inner kid part. And until you do this work of starting to connect with yourself, it's going to be pretty dominant and strong and very intense and overwhelming and flooded with emotions. But the you of today is different than you were as a kid. You have the ability to reparent yourself so you can be the validator. And so now each and every one of these doubtful moments that you have with your partner, as you reflect back on it later on, is an opportunity to practice being there for yourself. Connecting to yourself, being the kind of parenting influence you needed, listening, tuned in, accepting, hearing, validating, unconditional acceptance, validation, reassurance. That's what the practice is. Now, being that it occurred to you and happened to you repeatedly over time, struggles, difficulties, without the reassurance over and over again. So I guess I'm just not safe, secure, worthy, deserving. And so the healing is then doing the opposite, is taking time after these arguments, after these moments. Every time there's a doubt, you need to make time later on to sit and reflect back on it. What happened? Where in the body was I feeling feelings? What were the name of those feelings? And begin to connect to that part so that you become the primary validator. You become the main reassurer. And as you do that consistently, regularly, like workouts, you show up, you validate, that starts to get strong. I'm good, I'm worthy. I'm worthy of someone connecting to me. I don't have to assume the worst is going to happen. You become able to validate yourself and not completely dependent on external validation. Not stuck in this loop of I've got to assume the worst. Let me just assume I'm going to get rejected and kicked to the curb again and just get it over with. You don't have to live like that. And you actually start to get to know a brand new feeling of I'm okay, I'm safe, I'm wanted, I'm loved, and I'm accepted as is unconditionally, meaning I can make mistakes, I can say the wrong thing, but we work it through. You know, it's a new feeling to feel, but it starts with you and how you treat yourself. The way that you treat and interact with yourself, this group of feelings, this inner kid part, this collection of unmet emotional needs, that becomes the way you relate to other people. Because all these uncomfortable feelings are all indicators of unmet emotional needs. The difference now is that you're going to become the one to start to meet those needs. So let's talk about how to start to connect to all of this stuff, because this is the basic of a relationship. And we talked before, I want to mention this quickly, about you shouldn't in a relationship be talking about past relationships, in a sense, right? One of the things that that causes you doubt is wondering about a past boyfriend, a past girlfriend, whatever it is. We shouldn't be talking about past relationships. What should we be doing in a relationship? Well, you are obligated to spend some time thinking about your past relationships and what was it that you liked and enjoyed about them, and what is it that you did not like and it was difficult for you. Powerful information. Experiential education. Nobody could tell you that you didn't feel it because you did feel it. You went through it and you know you don't like it. You know you do like it and want more of it. Those are clarity points that you need to either bring into your dating. You know what you're looking for and you know what you're looking to avoid. Is it a match? Well, ask yourself. And get a couple bullet points for at least something positive, something negative about your last 2-3 relationships, and you'll have a good collection. But as you're in a relationship, that's your obligation, is to bring that into the relationship. Not this person and stories with that past partner, but no, the things I learned from the relationship that I need and want more of, and the things that I don't like and I need to avoid. So I can then express that to my partner, and they can express it to you. And now, instead of doubting, I have some clarity. My partner told me a couple of things that I do that they love. They feel loved, cared about, accepted, reassured, validated. Great. Now I don't have to guess. I know the things to do that will help you feel more close, connected, reassured. They also told me some of the things in general, or as you connect more in the relationship, they'll tell you the things that you do that bother them and the things that you do that make them feel close. You need to become more aware of what you like and want more of, and what doesn't work for you and you need to avoid, to share that with your partner. Your partner needs to do the same thing with you. And then as you continue to connect, to be able to share, sit down and do some feedback. I have a video about the 3 meetings that every couple needs to have, which talks about this. There needs to be a regular date, and there needs to be a regular business meeting, but there needs to be an emotional work meeting where you talk about these kinds of things. Tell me something I do that you enjoy and want more of. Tell me something I do that you wish I would stop or do less of. Powerful information. But on top of that, to really get started with it, your relationship with yourself has to change. You've got to start producing more awareness and clarity and get more experience on what it feels like to feel validated and reassured and okay, that I don't need to doubt. Because right now, feeling worried and doubtful and assuming the worst is so familiar and comfortable to you. All the comparisons that you make to other people. And that's going to start with every time you have a doubt moment, or at least once a day you have a doubt moment, reflect back on that moment. When was I triggered? When was there a strong emotional response that you had that was more than really seems to fit the situation? And you're doing it between you and yourself. So you don't have to really worry about anybody listening or tuning in. And to start to connect more with it. What was I feeling in that moment? What was I feeling? What was I feeling? What was I feeling? What was I feeling? To add that piece in, and then you're no longer ignoring yourself and rejecting yourself. You're showing up for yourself. You're accepting yourself. You are tuning into you and being there for you in ways that you always needed but never got. In addition, another way you can validate yourself is do comparisons, but do it differently. Instead of comparing yourself, look at them on social media, so happy, my relationship sucks. Or if all these kinds of comparisons, if I was better, I would do this or the other. Don't do that. You can look at other relationships and things people do and say, I would like to learn to do more of that myself. I would like to have more of that in my relationship. Great. So work on it. But not, am I good, worthy, or deserving? Let me compare to another. But if you do want to compare in order to get a better sense of yourself, compare yourself to yourself. So as, let's say, same trigger occurs. I texted after a difficult interaction and I'm waiting for my partner to message back to me and it's driving me nuts. As you do this work, what you'll notice is improvement. I was less unfocused. I was less wrecked until I got that text message back. The me compared to me of 6 months ago, I'm doing a little bit better. I less assumed the worst when you didn't plan something for my birthday. I asked you instead, is it okay? I'm doing better at, it takes me longer to get worked up, or I can get myself calmer quicker over time, or I catch myself making assumptions and instead I turn into a question. Hey, are you feeling and thinking this and that and the other? Because ideally in a relationship, what we're shooting for is you never worry about your partner at all. You don't doubt at all. Why? Because the two of you have set it up as such that whenever you have an issue or a problem or a concern, you talk to me, you call me, we make time, you tell me what you're feeling, I validate your feelings, we talk about it, we both hear each other, great. But on a day-to-day basic level, I don't worry about what you're going through. I don't have to. I trust that things are good and that you will be responsible for you and your feelings and your needs and your wants, and I'll be responsible for mine. And that's how a healthy relationship should look. So it's going to take work, because think about it, you have spent a lifetime doubting. That's what's so familiar. You don't even know what it feels like to not doubt. So let's start practicing. Let's start getting to know that. Let's make it our goal that from now on, doubt is a signal. Doubt is a check engine light that a part of me is trying to communicate to me. I responded by jumping to doubt, but when I can, as soon as I can, or in the moment, tell my partner, time out, I'm doing that thing again. I'm doing that doubting thing again. Time out. Let me go reflect. And what do you do when you reflect? Take out a feelings chart. Look up any kind of list of feelings, because you don't have the vocabulary. You need to build up your emotional vocabulary so you can hear yourself, understand yourself, get to know yourself, really clue in on the various feelings you feel. Notice times in the past and in the way, way past when you felt the same collection of feelings. Old memories pop up with the same feelings, and now you and that part are in relationship and connecting. Because you are relating better to you, you're going to have a better relationship with everyone around you.